Good morning. A lot more great news coming from Maha and MAGA, the unifying force between President Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I should say. Little echo back there. So there is a New York Post article that I want to look at, maybe do a little reading, read a little bit on this one. This is posted to Secretary Kennedy on X at Sec Kennedy. This is what Kennedy writes here. I'm fighting the chronic disease and slashing unhealthy fat at HHS. Read my op ed at the New York Post. Kennedy is known for doing a lot of op eds, and I'm going to see. They're kind of long, so I don't know how much of this I will read, but I figured it'd be a good place to start here. So this is from the New York Post. He has the op ed. This was published yesterday, it looks like. Yep, yesterday at about 6:27 p.m. I became Secretary of Health and Human Services with one overarching goal: to make America healthy again. And that is exactly what I have set out to do in my first 2 months at the department. Our healthcare system is not working for the average American. Study after study shows that America spends more on healthcare than any other country in the world by a large margin. At HHS alone, we spend 1.7 trillion annually. This is nearly one third of our entire federal budget and almost 7% of our country's domestic product. That's a big, big number, I would say. All right. Oh, and it's not even share screen sharing. So, okay, that's okay. Despite the extravagant spending, our country's health is declining. America has the highest rates of chronic disease in the world. We rank last in terms of health among developed nations, and life expectancy is declining for many groups of Americans. How many ads are on this stupid thing here? Okay, spending more money and doing the same thing is not going to fix our problem, Kennedy continues. That is why we are undertaking radical change at HHS. I inherited an agency with approximately 82,000 employees working across 28 different divisions. Many of these offices contain duplicative and redundant functions, in many cases, as the result of pet projects or crises that may have happened 20, 30, or even 40 years ago. We are not focusing on the right problems, and we are not coordinating our resources in an effective way. The problem has only gotten worse since COVID. Over the past 5 years, the department's budget has ballooned, growing by 38% from 1.2 trillion to 1.7 trillion. At the same time, our numbers of employees has increased set by 17%. Unfortunately, this extra spending and staff has not improved our nation's health as a country. Instead, it has only created more waste, administrative bloat, and duplication. And we are changing this. As soon as I came into office, we offered our employees, especially those who are not aligned with our mission, the chance to resign gracefully. Nearly 10,000 HHS employees voluntarily chose to depart through our deferred resignation program, voluntary early retirement authority, and voluntary separation incentive programs. However, we need to do more. In alignment with President Trump's executive order to decrease the size of the federal workforce, we are undertaking a further reduction in force by approximately 10,000 employees. This will come in three parts. First, we are streamlining our administrative functions, including our human resources, procurement, and information technology offices. Today, HHS has more than 40 procurement offices and 40 chief information officers, leading to significant duplication and inefficiency. Centralizing these functions across the department will account for approximately 70% of our reduction in force. Second, we are going to reduce redundant and duplicative program offices across the department. We will announce the reorganization details in June. Today, multiple offices focus on key priorities like women's health, minority health, and HIV/AIDS. Too often, this results in a lack of focus and uncoordinated resources. By eliminating these redundancies, we will both drive better outcomes and more efficiently use resources. He's so articulate when he writes. This change will not affect our current programs. Our remaining staff will be able to pick up the responsibilities of those who depart. Finally, we are closing 5 of our highest cost regional offices in Boston, Chicago, New York, San Francisco, and Seattle. All, he's not saying this, but I'm just thinking this, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. All sanctuary cities. Okay. The functions performed by these offices will be transferred to our remaining 5 regional offices as well as our staff in Washington, D.C., so that no service will be lost. That's the big thing. Kennedy is not cutting out the things that are working. He's getting rid of the waste because there are a lot of things that are not working, or a lot of duplicity and just people, a lot of different people doing the same job, and you don't need that. Because what happens is then you have people standing around while the other person does the job, and then everybody gets credit. It's like you have 5 bosses while you're digging a hole with a shovel, and you got 5 bosses looking over your head, watching you and telling you what you're doing wrong, or maybe sometimes even telling you what you're doing right, but not grabbing a shovel themselves and helping you dig that hole, which can get it done faster. So efficiency, speed. We're going to save some money. They're going to cut jobs, but they're not cutting the programs. They're not cutting. I mean, they are cutting some DEI programs, some programs that should not be there, that they no longer need, that are complete waste. But they are not cutting the good people and the good services. And in the cases that they have cut people that shouldn't have been cut, they brought them back. So I think that is a testament to that they're also open to being wrong. This isn't just about, well, we messed up, but we got to save face. No, when they mess up, they make it right. All right, where was I? In total, these changes will return us to approximately 90% of our pre-COVID staffing level. Wow, so that's just in the last 5 years, like you said, while improving efficiency and streamlining operation. These steps are still not enough, though. Over the coming months, I will be working to restructure the department as a whole in partnership with Congress and others across the administration. For example, we will refocus the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on its core mission of outbreak response and preparedness. We'll also combine multiple offices across HHS into a new administration for a healthy America, dedicated to disease prevention and fighting chronic disease, which is what I really want to get into. I did not come to Washington, D.C. to be a bureaucrat. I came here to drive change and to team with President Trump to improve and save the lives of countless Americans. This is what drives me every day, and I will do whatever it takes to make it happen. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the 26th Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Another powerful move by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You can go and you can look at the news. You can look at all of the nonsense, the propaganda, the fake news that is being thrown at him. He's untouchable. It's not going to faze him. It's not going to work. He is going to march on. The truth is marching on. He's marching on to make America healthy again. That's the plan, and he's not deviating from it. You can see how quickly, within the first 100 days here, you can see what he is doing, how quickly he is moving to make change and showing that it can be made. With the right leadership, lots of good, positive changes can be made. This country has been so beaten down for so many years that I think a lot of people have just given up. But I'm asking those people, do not give up. Do not give up hope yet. It is here. It is happening. A lot of very interesting things are happening right now for the betterment of this country. And I just hope that people will give Kennedy a chance and give Trump a chance too. Give this man a chance here. Come on. Look at that face. So that is Kennedy's op-ed from the New York Post. Now let me see if there's anything else. So that's in here. That was good. Not as long as some of his other things, but really good. Here's what he wrote. Thank you at POTUS for another productive cabinet meeting today. Thanks to your MAHA commission, we'll soon identify the root cause of the autism epidemic. Eliminating those harmful exposures will bring us one step closer to fulfilling our Make America Healthy Again promise. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is great stuff. How long is this one? Okay. This is like the 1 minute clip. I got the full clip, but I think this is good. Let me play this.
And we are going at your direction. We are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
No, there will be no bigger news conference than that. So that's it. If you can come up with that answer, where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Marco? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great. Thank you, Bobby.
That's awesome. Losing my voice here. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if there's anything else here. Check out the op-ed. Okay, making healthier foods. Is this something new? Yeah, this may be something new. There's Kennedy standing there. It's simple, nutritious school meals keep children healthy. Thank you to USDA Secretary Rollins for your commitment to our kids, HHS. It's amazing. There was one that I could not find. I guess it's not out there anywhere. I couldn't find it. Let me go to the HHS X account, and I'm done with this. So, hhs.gov. So there was a conference that was held, and I cannot find. So this is the something Kennedy did on the 8th. Today at the Tribal Self-Governance Conference in Chandler, Arizona, Secretary Kennedy met with tribal leaders to discuss opportunities and challenges surrounding self-governance in healthcare. HHS remains committed to prioritizing Indian country and advancing their health and prosperity to fulfill our shared goal to make America healthy again. So I found like one little 1 minute clip, and I don't even think it's Kennedy talking of this conference, but I could not find any video of this conference. I really would love to find that. So hopefully that will pop up at some point, because I'd love to hear what he says here. I'm sure it's going to be very similar to what he's saying elsewhere. And speaking of that, I am going to go ahead and see if I can play this. I'm even going to turn the subtitles on.
Mr. President, we are working at HHS to advance your agenda to make America healthy again. I'm working with Lee Zeldin to reassess the fluoride rules based upon the August release by the National Toxicity Program of new science that shows a direct inverse correlation between exposure to fluoride and IQ loss, particularly in children. Lee and I were in Utah this week, to announce that Utah became the first state in the country to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm working with Brooke on, and governors now in 24 states who are advancing maha legislation to get soda pops off of the food stamp program, off the SNAP program. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to get the bad chemicals out of baby formula. We're working with governors across the country to get good food into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health. We are working with governors across the country to get cell-to-cell or bell-to-bell legislation to restrict the use of cell phones in schools, which again dramatically impacts academic performance. Today we announced a dramatic reduction in animal testing at NIH and FDA. We're going to switch over to AI, which we've now found is much more precise in identifying the impacts of toxics in various products. We're working with Elon, who's done an incredible job to eliminate the redundancies and to streamline operations at all the health agencies and to recalibrate our trajectory to your agenda of making America healthy again. And finally, on the CDC has done an amazing job at getting the measles outbreak under control. We have about 680 cases now in 22 states, compared to the same outbreak in Europe, which is 127,000 cases and 37 deaths. Our numbers in this country have now plateaued. And I want to thank CDC for that. And we're trying to refocus the press. We've had 3 measles deaths in this country over 20 years. And we're trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to the chronic disease epidemic as you've asked us to. We have now 38% of American youth are pre-diabetic. This was unknown 30 years ago. Every child that becomes diabetic, there should be a headline about them. We have 100 million adults who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And we have, we have now, the autism rates have gone from now most recent numbers we think are going to be about 1 in 31, 1 in 12, so they're going up again from 1 in 10,000 when I was a kid. And we are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That is that's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference than that. So that's it. If you can come up with that answer where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Martha? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great. Thank you, Bobby.
Everybody want to have a seat? Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for being here. This is a historic moment in the Arizona State Senate. But before we begin, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all the individuals who have made the healthy movement what it is today. That's each and every one of these parents up here and everyone sitting at the dais. Sitting beside me, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Absolutely. Absolutely. House Representative Leo Biasucci. The talented Rob Schneider. Maricopa County Superintendent Shelley Boggs. And certainly not the least, Dr. Julie Hinman. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Senate Majority Leader Janae Shamp with Legislative District 29. Thank you. I sit here before you today, not necessarily as an elected, but as a perioperative nurse manager who got fired for not taking the COVID vaccine. I grew up sick with a sick parent. I grew up hospital bedside, more time in the hospital than ever on a playground. When she passed, I became a registered nurse. Healthcare is not a profession for me, it's a passion. And when that passion was taken, I knew that I needed to do something to ensure that it didn't happen to anyone else here in the state of Arizona. Healthcare in America has become sick care. And before I left the operating room, the red flags had already begun to surface. By the time that I walked away, or was forced out, I would prefer to say, I understood the truth. Science was not being practiced. It was being purchased. We all know that good health starts with what we put into our bodies, but for decades, Americans have been exposed to additives that have been banned in countries around the world. These chemicals have been linked to everything from behavioral issues, cancer, hormone disruption, and nervous system damage. Despite the overwhelming scientific evidence, they have remained in our food until now. This is a historic moment of leadership for our state. Arizona is once again proving that we will stand up for what is right, even if we face opposition. We are prioritizing the health of our citizens, our children, over corporate interests. We are choosing science over profit. We are choosing the well-being of our children over outdated policies that have left them exposed to unnecessary risks. So together we will continue to fight where every Arizonan has the chance to thrive, and together we will make Arizona healthy again. So this is a landmark day for Arizona, and we are taking a step forward with legislation that will ban some of the most dangerous chemicals that are artificially placed into our children's school lunches. I will now turn it over to the bill sponsor, House Representative Leo Biasucci, to discuss his important and landmark legislation.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. So I first want to start off thanking this man sitting next to me right here. You know, there was a moment in August where he and President Trump came together and said, we're going to do what's best for the country. We're going to do what's best for the health of our people. They didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. But he did because he loves this country too much. And I want you all to give him a round of applause for that moment. You know, it's funny, I like to share the story because it's a good one. And everybody here that's been to Europe, raise your hand, you've traveled to Europe. So you're going to relate to this story that I tell you about when I was in Europe this summer, and I'm eating pasta, I'm eating pizza every day, I'm having ice cream, yet I'm not gaining a pound, which is incredible. I feel great, and that's really what started this all off, because I asked myself, what is the difference? Why is it that I'm able to eat all these foods overseas, and yet when I come back to the States, if I had that kind of diet, I would be 300 pounds in a week? So I started to look at the ingredients. I went to the grocery store, I turned around the labels of cereals, of pastas, and all these ingredients, and you're seeing that you have red 40s, blue dyes, potassium bromate. All these chemicals that are in the United States are not in Europe. And so when I started to do a deep dive back in the States, I realized that all these ingredients are banned in Europe for a reason. You look at red 3, red 40, potassium bromate, they're causing cancer, they're causing attention deficit disorders, they're causing all these behavioral issues. And what really made me mad is when I look at the box of Kellogg's in Europe, of Fruit Loops. the same exact company that makes Fruit Loops in the United States has a different product in Europe. So in Europe, they've removed the red dyes. They've removed all these toxic ingredients, but yet here in the States, they're still poisoning our children. That is wrong. And I'm proud to say today, with a vote of 28-0 in the Senate, HB 2164, which bans all of these toxic ingredients, has passed the Senate and the House and is on its way to the governor.
Representative Biasucci,
Yes.
I believe that the two bills are actually on the governor's desk as we speak.
There we go. So on the governor's desk, which is incredible. But I just want to talk about how this is an incredible moment in history. You know, we have people that have been talking about this for a very, very long time. You talk about, you know, the Dr. Amons, the Dr. Mercolas, the Callie Means, the food babes. So many people have been talking about the health of our children for so long, but it wasn't until Secretary Kennedy was able to get in the position that he's in with that biggest microphone that people finally listened. And here we are today, about to save every one of these children's lives in front of us by doing these bills. And so I just want to say thank you to all my colleagues in the crowd, every single one of you here. You've supported me from day one. You've helped me from day one. The moment where I got pushback from the industry, you told me, don't give in, don't give up, do not bend the knee to their demands, do what's right. And I want to thank you all for doing that, because that gave me the courage to stand here today and say I did not change a single ingredient from this bill from the original version, and I couldn't have done that without your help.
Bravo.
So that being said, let me turn it over to the comedian. Rob Schneider, everybody.
It's a pleasure to be. This will be the last time that I'm the same height as these children in front of me. And I would like to first thank the Democrats in the state legislature here for joining the Republicans unanimously for doing what's best for our children. This is not partisan. This is people. These are our children. These are the most important, precious members of our society. This is our future. This is everything. Now, people have been saying that for decades. This is the first administration in my lifetime that's actually doing something about it. And it really is a testament to this great state that we can get together and do something that is 100% positive for everyone in this state. And I will say this, and you know, the numbers are absolutely stunning. That what's happening with our health in the United States is abject failure. We must make changes, and we're going to make changes for these precious people and these children here. And I won't speak long, but I will say that if we don't get a handle on our health, nothing else matters. And as has been said, and I think Secretary Kennedy said, you may have problems in your life, but if you have a health problem, that's the only problem you have. Mm-hmm. Now, it's going to help our kids learn. It's going to help, and we're working. I want to thank Representative Biasucci for bringing me along on this. Is that we're going to figure out a way to get these beautiful farm fresh foods into the schools for these children, so that they can have a chance. Because a lot of kids, this will be their only meal of the day. Let's not have some processed, chemical-laden thing that doesn't help them think, that may cause behavioral problems. Let's get them the best things, what they deserve. And I want to thank the parents in the room, because it's going to take the parents, it's going to take the educators, and we all want to do it. So it's 100% positive. So I want to thank everybody in the room participating in this, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
I'll just say, lastly, I want to say I've known Secretary Kennedy for over 30 years, and he is just a driven, honorable, loving person. And I will say that it is an honor to be your friend, and what you're doing and the sacrifice that you've made and how you've put yourself in this position, it's really inspiring for so many Americans. And the love that you feel from the people here is the love all over this nation, and how grateful we are to you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well said, Rob. Very well said. So with that, it is my great honor to welcome a man whose name is synonymous with courage, conviction, and an unwavering commitment to justice. Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the U.S. Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. Sir, we thank you for standing here today with us, sitting as it may be, but standing shoulder to shoulder with us in this fight. The movement that you've created, that we're able to, as you work from the top down, meet you from the ground up. Arizona is eternally indebted to you for your service. So with that, would you please make a few remarks? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And there's a little Q&A that happens later on, and it gets a little heated because people are asking questions that have nothing to do with this, and some of the people on the dais get a little upset about it. So I am
Very much. And
they love it. How could you not?
thank you, Leo. I also want to thank President Trump for putting me here and for allowing me to live the dream of fighting to make America healthy again and doing that effectively. I was involved in the tobacco litigation back in the 1980s. The tobacco companies at that time were the most cash-rich companies in the world. And they saw the writing on the wall that they were facing regulatory headwinds and that their consumer base was moving away from them. So they decided to diversify, and they decided to buy food companies. So by the mid-1990s, the two biggest food companies in the world were R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris. And they took thousands of scientists that they had employed to make tobacco more attractive and more addictive. And they moved them to do the same thing with food. And they began going into their laboratories and developing tastes and mimicked real food. And people eat those products today, and our bodies are not designed to metabolize them. And your body is seeking the nutrients that go along with that taste, but there are no nutrients. Our food today, it used to be nutrient dense. Today it's nutrient barren. And your body craves it. It's looking for the nutrients which it associates with those tastes. And that's why your body remains hungry all the time. And so you eat more and more, you gain more and more weight, and you're never satisfied. They also developed a whole slew of other chemicals. For example, they learned that one of the ways that your brain tells your stomach that it's full is it counts the number of times you chew. So they began adding softeners to the food to trick your brain into never being able to tell your stomach that it's full. And using this, many other chemicals, they poisoned our food supply in our country. And they made it, as I said, nutrient anemic. We're now the fourth most obese country in the world. And for the first time in history, we're seeing obesity and malnutrition in the same people. And Leo was talking about his trip to Europe. I shared an anecdote with him. I had a son who had chronic eczema. And anytime he ate pasta or bread, he would get outbreaks on his whole body, and they were excruciating for him. He went to University of Bologna for a year, and he ate spaghetti 3 times a day. He never had an outbreak. His eczema disappeared. And this, what we're doing to our children is criminal. And we have to stop. We are now the sickest country in the world. When my uncle was president, 3% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, 60% have chronic disease. We are the sickest country in the world. Our autism rates have now gone from 1 in 10,000 in my generation today, in 70-year-old men, to 1 in every 31 in my kids' generation. The diabetes rate has exploded. When I was a kid, an average pediatrician would see a single case of juvenile diabetes in a 40 or 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door is diabetic. Even more, 38% by the latest NIH numbers, which I just read. 38% of teens now are diabetic or pre-diabetic. 50% of our adult population. This affects everything in our country. It affects our national security. 74% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. When my uncle was president, we spent zero nationally on chronic disease. There were no treatments. Today, we spend $1.3 trillion a year.
It's ridiculous.
It's bankrupting our country. And this step that these brave legislators took, and I want to thank the Senate President who's here also. Will you just...
So I want to get to maybe, I'm going to skip that for now. I'm going to get to some of these. There are a few clips here. So Kennedy did his first network television interview with CBS News. The full clip is now out there. It is now out there. I'm waiting to see if it's... I grabbed a few clips here. The full interview is out there, and the full
Since
interview
his appointment
is really
in
good.
February, Kennedy has facilitated sweeping cuts for programs and staffers alike. You proposed more than $11 billion in cuts to local and state programs addressing things like infectious disease, mental health, addiction, and childhood vaccination. Did you personally approve those cuts?
No, I'm not familiar with those cuts. We'd have to go. We'd have to go.
There's like more than 50 pages of cuts that I actually went through.
The cuts were mainly DEI cuts, which the president...
There were a
ordered.
lot, but I'll give you, for example, about $750,000 of a University of Michigan grant into adolescent diabetes was cut. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and that's something that we'll look at.
Yeah, so I mean, that's, I wonder, should these be considered Doge cuts?
Well, I couldn't speak to that, Dr. LePuc, because I'm not familiar with that particular study,
that's
but there's
fair.
a number of studies that were cut that came to our attention and that did not deserve to be cut, and we reinstated them. Our purpose is not to reduce any level of scientific research that's important.
But with billions of dollars in cuts at stake, a fundamental question remains. What's the basic level of care every American should receive, and who should pay for it?
When it comes to health care, that's a difficult question because people have a choice about how sick they're going to be, many people. If you don't have any choice, then, then we should give you all the resources that you want. But I mean, it's a moral question too, and it's a philosophical question. If you're smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day, should you expect society to pay when you get sick?
Maybe pay for you to help stop smoking.
Or should we encourage people? Should we incentivize people to take care of themselves? And then when they get sick, make sure they're taken care of.
It's one thing to say the measles vaccine is the best way of preventing spread, but it's another thing to then say, and therefore, we suggest that you get the measles vaccine.
We encourage people to get the measles vaccine.
Okay, so I think that's actually the next step, and that's news as far as I'm concerned, that you're saying that. What's the position philosophically of the federal government in terms of public health?
The federal government's position, my position is people should get the measles vaccine, but the government should not be mandating
Understand.
those. But I've always said during my campaign and every public statement I've made, I'm not going to take people's vaccines away from them.
Right.
What I'm going to do is make sure that we have good science so that people can make an informed choice. And we are doing that science today so that we know the risks of that product, and we also know what the benefits are. And right now, we don't know the risks of many of these products because they're not safety tested.
And I understand that position, but just to be clear, you are saying, and we do on the federal level, and you personally do recommend that people get the measles vaccine.
And when I say they're not safety tested, what I mean is they're not adequately. Many of the vaccines are tested for only 3 or 4 days with no placebo group. All these different grains are grown locally on Indian. Land.
We met the secretary in Mesa, Arizona, where he visited a native health center as part of a 3-state tour to promote the administration's Make America Healthy Again agenda, which includes overhauling standards for processed food.
FDA needs to start regulating food again and saying, not just when food is adulterated, when there's bacteria in it. Let's look at the chemicals in it. Hi, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2.
Hi, I'm
Okay, so that's where I'm going to end this one here today. I was looking at the Department of Health and Human Services, looking at their website. Really good stuff there, obviously. But I love what Kennedy is saying, how we need to look at the processed foods. They need these agencies need to start doing their jobs, and they really need to start looking at what is going in to our foods, especially the low income foods, right? Because they don't have a choice. They can't look at, should I get organic or should I not? They don't have that option. So for those people, it's very, very important that we try to get them healthier food and real food and non-processed food, least processed food. It's a big, big challenge that Kennedy has, but I think so far he's doing great. And I didn't expect him to be this far along this early. So God bless you all. Remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Till next time.